Okay. So today's topic will cover successful entrepreneurs, what their qualities are, meaning qualities of successful entrepreneurs. There can be no book saying that these are the qualities that will make you a successful entrepreneur, but there are books where people wrote that these are the traits of successful entrepreneurs. Now, whether those have to be there in you, or if these are there in you, whether you are going to be a successful entrepreneur, nobody knows. More importantly, lest I might forget, let me tell you that this list may sound intimidating, meaning that the list will project somebody which will be looking like an idealist, meaning almost God has created this kind of a person, only one in a million, something like that. Just let me clarify that this is not the case, meaning it's not necessary that you have to have all the qualities or maybe majority of them. It's not necessary. Even if you have almost no qualities of this, perhaps you can start a business, and maybe a business with less involvement, less engagement by others, etc., etc. For example, suppose you know somebody in a steel plant or any other plant for that matter. Suppose in Exide, that is a battery manufacturer, or any company, you know somebody. Every medium to large companies, they buy something. Every medium or large company makes purchases of essential items. Like for example, in steel plant, they need potash alum for treating their water, because they need a lot of water, and if water is contaminated, it doesn't work well. Now, suppose you are a chemical engineer, you can manufacture potash alum. So somebody is there in the company who gives you order, and you set up a company. Sorry, every now and then. Actually, I have severe cold. Sorry. Now, you supply on a monthly basis, or whenever they need the supply, you just supply. This business has very limited risk, because you have permanent customer. You have permanent customer, you have a margin, and everything is manageable. Likewise, then we're going to discuss about what are this complementarity of the skills and etc. I won't be able to cover mission vision because I have about 65 slides. I don't want to just hurriedly complete that. So eventually we may not be able to cover the entire syllabus that I have projected in my course profile, course outlines. Whatever that is, whatever we cover, we'll try to cover as extensively as possible. Mission vision will be covered in the next day. Even some traits will be covered in the next day. See, when you look at successful entrepreneurs, you may think that they're lucky. That is why they're successful. In fact, most of the successful entrepreneurs also say that they were lucky. When I invited Anish Reddy, he repeatedly mentioned this, that there were smarter people who started enterprises along with us. But then at some point of time, luck actually favored us, and luck did not favor them. And that is why they fell on the wayside, and we became 1,000 crore rupees company, more than 1,000. So it may, but then if you talk to them, if you talk to Anish, in fact, I used to mentor him when he was doing his BTech here in mechanical. He used to come to me and we used to talk about many things, particularly e-cell and then robotics and then many other things. And I realized at that point of time that he has better leadership skill than being a matured man I don't have. So I used to think that his thought process is different. He thinks like a leader, which I could not. So maybe some qualities are there in some people who what actually help them to become successful entrepreneur. But then don't be intimidated by anything. Anish has a co-founder called Anant. And if you talk to Anant, he will look like a down-to-earth person, almost like he doesn't have much of what Anish has. But then Anish will tell you that without Anant, there is no capillarity. So in the same story, there are two people, two persons with absolutely different characteristic features. Of course, Anant was critically important for robotics. Anish was for E-cell in particular. Okay, so let us see what experts have identified to be essential qualities, or maybe the qualities that are common in successful entrepreneurs. Again, I'm just giving a caution that don't be intimidated. This list is okay, meaning if you have some of them, fine. More importantly, this last line is very important. I forgot to mention that many of these qualities or traits can be acquired, can be inculcated in you. So if you are open-minded and if you know that these are the things which are essential and I lack them, then try to habitually be like that. You know, people say that fake it till you get it, meaning that suppose you want to speak like Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan or somebody, but then suppose people say that you look so unsmart. Now you try to fake as if you are Shah Rukh Khan and try to emulate some of his behavioral whatever idiosyncrasy or traits or anything. Gradually it will get embedded in your personality. It does. Suppose you speak in a very shabby manner, so you try to emulate somebody whom you think that he speaks very nice. Say Barack Obama speaks so well, so you see some YouTube video and then it's just behave as if you are Barack Obama. Whenever you are talking to somebody, you just talk like that, so that people just realizes that you are trying to copy somebody. They will laugh at you, but then eventually you will be like him. More importantly, I'll tell you at some other time in detail, we can actually tell ourselves to do something for ourselves. Unbelievable. But then we can actually do, I'll just tell the story and then move ahead. This is outside my planned content of my lecture. But there is this is supposed to be told later. I'm just telling you now. We can tell us to do something for us. Meaning there is something called conscious mind and there is something called subconscious mind, subconscious brain, or whatever you say. We know that we use 5% of our brain and there is 100% of our brain. Some people say that if you can use slightly more than 5% of your brain, you will become an Einstein or somebody. Because by using 5%, you are like this, 5.5 will make you a super intelligent person. But the fact is that we use 100% of our brain. How? Because the 95% remain in the subconscious. And whatever we learn that remains in the subconscious remains in the database. Right side and left side. Right side is the creative part of the brain, left side is the cognitive part of the brain, and then there is the back end, that is a database, and then all of other things. Whenever you encounter something, a problem or happiness or whatever, suppose somebody challenges you about doing something, you immediately try to connect to your subconscious. Without your knowledge, you actually throw that problem to your subconscious. From the conscious mind, it goes to the subconscious. Subconscious now sift through the knowledges that you have acquired, your experience, your academic, whatever you have learned. Then it tries to correlate the two and correlate with the problem. Then somehow at some point of time, it comes out with something that apparently looks like it's a solution. It then throws to the conscious mind. Then you say, Eureka, I have got something, maybe in your sleep or maybe while you are eating or walking or driving or something. Suddenly you feel that, yes, this is the solution. You think that it came by accident, from the sky, from nowhere. But the fact is that your subconscious is trying to give you a solution. And then it churned through all your acquired knowledge and brain and whatever. And then eventually when it got the solution, just pumped it to the conscious mind. No, what I started by saying is like this. You can actually tell explicitly to your subconscious mind that do it for me. I want a solution for this problem. Get it. And it is possible. I'll give you an example. Yes. Any problem? Okay, I don't know, maybe an accident. Now, I'll give a small example. You all know about it. Just the perspective will change. Suppose you go to bed at 2 o'clock and suppose you have to wake up at 3:30, just 1.5 hours of sleep, and you have to catch a train or a flight or something, or you have a submission and you want to wake up at 3:30. When you go to bed without thinking anything else, if you continuously think that I must wake up at 3:30 or say 3:35, 3:36, you tell yourself that I must wake up at 3:36. Chances are very high. In almost in 100% of the cases, people will wake up at 3:36 and look at the clock and they will say that they will see that it's perfectly 3:36. Provided you don't think anything else before going to sleep. You should sleep only with that information in mind. That means that is the last communication, your last communication to the subconscious. And the subconscious keep the time. And then it wakes you up right at the dot. How do you do that? How in your sleep you don't look at the clock, but then you wake up, you tell your parents, they will say that yes, that happens and we always use that. So if you can tell yourselves to wake you up at 3:36 and something wakes you up at 3:36, you can actually tell many things to your subconscious and your subconscious can get it done. It's almost like a genie. So if you have a bad habit, people say that at the new year, you should take a resolution. What is that? That is actually telling your subconscious that I must do this. And if you really take a resolution, and you are committed to it, your subconscious will get the message correct. Then only you can do it. But then there are other factors. Like there are so many hormones, like dopamine, like serotonin, like many other, feel good hormones. So through that feel good hormone, you convey to your subconscious what is right and what is wrong. Suppose somebody takes drug. Once they take it, they convey to their subconscious through the hormone, I like it. Second time, I like it even more. So their subconscious actually is guided by this feel good thing. And the subconscious will constantly secrete more of this dopamine whenever he takes drug. And that is why this is a vicious cycle. It goes on and on. What the person actually need to do is to hate, is to become rational and tell his subconscious that this is bad. The moment convincingly you can tell your subconscious that this is bad, subconscious will not secrete more dopamine and you will start hating that, whatever that is. And eventually you will get rid of. So, but then the whole chemistry is very complex. So let us not go too much into that. These are the qualities: leadership quality, people skill, unique work style, financially savvy. Then prior entrepreneurial exposure will help. Knowledge seeker, we have seen Dhirubhai Ambani. Strong peer network, very important. I'll discuss all of them separately. Remain surrounded by great people. There is a saying that you are the average of the people that you gather with, meaning you connect with. Suppose you have 5 friends and all 5 friends are smarter than you. You will become as smart as the average smartness of those 5. Suppose those 5 are absolutely unsmart and you are the smartest, you will come down to the average smartness of these 5 people. So you need to be surrounded by great people. Don't be afraid of them. Just know that you will inculcate some of their habits, some of their smartness. Tenacious. Tenacity means under stress, you don't break down. You continue. Tolerant to ambiguity. So you want to do something, but then you see that it is not happening like that and there are too many options, where to go, which one to adopt. You are kind of cool at that point of time and you know that there will be multiple threats coming simultaneously or multiple opportunities will hit your mind and you have to make a selection. You don't try to grab this, grab that, leave that. You don't be so, what is that right word? Meaning people who are not really stable, they're unstable. They just grab something which is available, then something better comes, they immediately drop this and try to catch the other one. These people never succeed. These people never succeed. Even if a wonderful opportunity hits you at some point of time, but if you are not absolutely sure that whatever you are doing now is going to be successful, you should not just jump ship and then do some fickle-minded. I wanted to say fickle-minded. A positive view on or constructive criticism. If somebody says that what idea you are pursuing is no good, just immediately don't react negatively. You just ask him or her, can you elaborate? Why do you think that? I would like to know, because I don't want to waste my time pursuing something that has no result. So talk to them. They are the good people. They are the best people for you. If somebody makes a constructive criticism, he's the God for you, because he or she is going to show you the right path, not prevent the wrong path. So you should have a positive view on constructive criticism. Readiness to delegate, very important. Suppose you have so many people working for you. If you think that you are the person who knows the best and nobody else can do this because you are smart, other people are still learning, then you will unnecessarily burden yourself doing everything and other people will never learn. This cycle will never complete. Cycle means you need to do something, you empower somebody, that somebody learns eventually in the future. Please mute some mics. Please mute unmuted mics. So if you can delegate, then people will learn. At some very soon you will find that your team is so smart that they can work without you. It has become autonomous, kind of. Then you have a lot of time to think about entrepreneurship rather than managing the business. Managing business is one thing, entrepreneurship is very much another thing. Confident, or confidence is the adjective. So they are confident. Confident is the adjective, confidence the noun. So they're confident. Confidence is a quality of entrepreneur. Discipline and self-starter. Never think that, because there is always a thing, people who are innovative, they're not so much disciplined because their mind is besotted with ideas, and then they always drop this and catch another things. But you need discipline to manage, otherwise everything will be inefficient. You buy something, keep it somewhere, then when you need that, you will not find it. You will not find all the files when it is absolutely essential. You will end up wasting a lot of time to find it. Self-starter, meaning they don't wait for somebody to instruct them or guide them. They are self-starter. They can make that kind of a decision that yes, this is the thing we would like to do. They're open to new ideas always. Okay, now let me focus on this term empathy. You can see that I have bolded that or made some outline. Empathy is a unique thing for entrepreneur. Without empathy, perhaps it's very difficult to become an entrepreneur. Let me explain what is empathy. You have heard about sympathy. Many of you know empathy, but let me just put it in the right context. See, sympathy means you show that you understand the pain of somebody and you feel bad about somebody's pain. So somebody had some accident, you say, oh, I'm really sorry to know this. It's kind of a lip sympathy, or sometimes you really feel that this man is going through, man or girl, going through some pain, so this is bad. But empathy is something very different. Suppose empathy is almost like you can feel the pain. Almost, not always necessarily absolutely, but almost you can feel the pain. Like suppose somebody had an accident and now he or she meets another guy who had an accident. This guy will be able to understand the pain much better than anybody else. That doesn't mean that we have to really meet with an accident to understand the pain of people who are having accident. That means that we have to really go deeper to understand somebody's pain. Only then we can say that we are empathizing with that person. I'll give you an example with a very short time. Time is very short and I have the habit of nagging one particular point. I'm very much aware. I'm trying to get rid of it, but then I think that with that actually it is better. I don't know. Some students also comment in the feedback. Now, at some point of time in Nepal, they constructed a new hospital at the hilltop mountain, at the top of, not top, but in a mountain. So it was very cool weather there. and they thought this is the perfect weather because it will be naturally cool, etc., etc. Now, after they have started this hospital, they encountered repeated uh, death of newborn, almost like 100% newborns were dying. So they contacted many doctors, many experts, many designers. Many came there. They saw. They thought this is perfect. There is no reason why newborn should die. There is no reason. We don't find. So they decided that this is actually a curse by the God, that this hospital will never tolerate any newborn. It will just kill. Or maybe there is a ghost inside the hospital which is killing the newborn. The ghost is not strong enough. That is why it's not killing others. It is killing only the newborn. But then the authority was not convinced. So they invited a team from Stanford University. Stanford University has a design school. I think it's called something, D school or something. So they have come up with an idea called design thinking. It's not a new idea. It's not they themselves who came up with the idea for the first time. I'll tell you that later, but whatever, they project as if they are the first to invent that. So Stanford was invited by this Nepal hospital that, come and see this, whatever is happening. When they came to know that there is a ghost or there is a curse, they laughed at it. These are crazy ideas. It can never happen. So they said, okay, so you find the problem solution because you are known to be the greatest designer of the world. So they also studied, and eventually they also came to the conclusion that there has to be something other than design or anything, some curse or something. But then one member of the team said, come on, we cannot be party to this nonsense. We must think more about it. Then he said, the first step of our design thinking process begins with empathy. Design thinking has 5 steps. Empathy, then define, then prototype, then evaluate, and then test. So we are failing at the first itself. Are we empathizing with the baby who is dying? Then other people ask the question, the children are dying even before they can speak or before even we can look at him or her. So how can we empathize with that newborn? Then one guy volunteered that, I can empathize. How I can empathize? I will become a newborn. At that age, he was something like 36. A 36-year-old says that I will become a newborn to be able to empathize. So what he did was surprising. He removed all his clothes and lied down on the stretcher by the side of a stretcher where a newborn will be dropped. And then a newborn was born. And then they were carrying that newborn to the incubation cell where newborns are kept in a controlled atmosphere. It emulates like mother's womb. Whatever is the temperature, other things, everything is maintained in a manner that the newborn will not realize whether he or she is inside the mother womb or outside. So they were carrying these 2 newborn. One is the real newborn, another is the nude person. And they were passing through a corridor. After the corridor is the incubation center. The corridor was so chilling cold that this nude person jumped in shiver, and he shouted, Eureka, meaning I got the solution. What is the solution? During this interim phase, when this newborn was transferred from the delivery room to the incubation cell, the newborn is getting such a trauma that nobody is able to cope up with this trauma and fight back. That is why they are dying. And the solution and the problem was defined absolutely well. And what they did later is also surprising. They built a solution in the form of something called embrace. It is nothing but a piece of quilt that is cut into almost like a pillow cover. You just slip the baby inside this pillow cover and the baby gets isolated from the atmosphere, get insulated from the natural vagary. and fatality went down to almost zero. That is the power of empathy. It is not just child and hospital. Empathy is relevant everywhere. If you can empathize with your customer, you can define their problem well. You can come up with a solution like this Embrace that cost nothing more than 200 rupees. 200 rupees is the maximum that will cost for making an Embrace. And that saves the lives of babies. You Google search with Embrace and you will know that I'm not telling stories. This is real. Now I said people skill, leadership qualities, everything leadership quality subsumes everything. Whatever I have been, even empathy also is part of leadership skill. So there are some kind of ambiguities or mutually conflicting ideas, but then they're all part of the leaderships. Just know that much. They are ready to accept failure as an option, meaning that they will not get upset by failure, nor they will do so much to prevent failure. They will not spend everything to make sure that they don't fail. They will do something to fail quickly rather than investing all their resources. Ability to sell. Selling is not just a piece of cake. It requires a lot of skill. Even customer acquisition requires a lot of skill. We'll talk about that later. They are frugal. There is always a possibility of cutting corners. Suppose you think that this is the least cost at which we can make this. The term least should not be in your dictionary. This is your best effort, maybe not even best. So you should know that there is always an opportunity to reduce cost, and every paisa you save that goes to cash flow, and that contributes greatly to your success story. So remain absolutely positive that there can always be more frugal. And if you can transfer one single paisa to your customer, that customer will think that this is cheaper by 1 paisa compared to competitor's product. I should buy this. The ability to manage money. So you have seen 29% of the companies fail because they run out of cash. So managing money is very important, not just running out. But if you can really make profit, really reduce cost, the more you can, the more possibility will be there to emerge successful. So remain absolutely focused on managing money, remaining frugal. They are reasonably passionate. They're not irreasonably passionate like Nano. Ratan Tata still thinks that he can make Nano a success. He will make it success. But then we cannot remain passionate for so long because we don't have thousands of crores. In fact, he has more than 1 lakh crore in his bank account, not personal bank account. Even they have something like 2 lakh crore rupees of loan at this point of time. And if they want another 1 lakh crore loan, perhaps there will be givers. We cannot do that. So that is why you should be reasonably passionate, so that at some point of time you should call it quit. There is a saying in Bengali, Kana Seler Nam Poddalochan, meaning a blind boy is born, but his parents give a name Poddalochan, meaning lotus-like eyes. Lotus-like eyes. Why? Because we parents are passionate about our sons and daughters. So we cannot really be reasonable. Even the people will say he's a blind person. Why do you call him Padmalochan or something? But we don't see reason. We should not. And startup is our children. Our own child is our creation. We feel so passionate. And somebody says, you are not going anywhere. Let's stop it here. You say, no, I will make sure that this is successful. I can't afford to, fail. That should not be the case. In that case, failure, you are already destined to fail. If you think that way. Self-motivated. They don't wait for somebody to advise them. They are system thinker. I will elaborate this in the next class because so much I cannot complete, but just to elaborate, because I am elaborating every point. They are systems thinker, very important, because see, we are part of a system. Everything is part of slightly larger system. You know ecosystem. Ecosystem is one example of a system. And there are many systems. Computer is a system, software is a system. Our daily life, our home is a system. Our home is part of a municipality, that is a system. Municipality is part of country, country is a system. Everything is a system and we are part of the system. And unless, whenever we do something, unless we are aware about the system and unless we are trying to take care of the broader system, means how the broader system is going to conflict with our system. If you are not familiar with that, if you are not giving enough thought in that, we are doomed to fail. We make ourselves fail. For example, suppose you are, just a small example, maybe I'll elaborate next time. Suppose you are putting up a plant somewhere, by very close to, say, you want to put a copper refinery. Now you are familiar that Vedanta has a copper plant in Tamil Nadu, which is now shut down because of environmental challenge, because water table is getting polluted with this whatever refining chemicals. Now, if you start a company and if you think that this is not going to pollute so much, and I have political clout, I will fight anything and everything with political clout, etc., and you don't care about it, and you set up your plant very close to the city so that people who will be working in your plant, they can live in a city life, you get good employees, etc., etc. Now, just the alternative might be that you put up your plant far away where this civilization will not be affected, whatever you do there. Out of this two, it will always be very attractive to put it up by the side of the city, because there's so much. All essential can be bought. Then the communication is so well, you can put all your product in a railway rack and all that. What not? So many advantages. That is a poor thinking. That is not a systems thinking. The systems thinker will think the detailed part of this whole, they will look at it holistically. So they will think of not holistically just today. They'll think holistically in the life cycle of the company. So they will know that if this pollutes the environment, people are going to complain. Not just people are going to complain, people's health will be affected. You should never ever do something to affect people negatively. That is not leadership. That is not entrepreneur. If you do that, failure will at some point of time hit you. You know, Vedanta, this Mr. Agarwal, with due respect to him, he thinks that he can get away doing anything because he's a multi-billionaire. I think he has more than 1 lakh crore rupees of assets, personal assets. So person with 1 lakh crore rupees can manipulate any and every government. So if he thinks, if he might have thought that I can do anything and I can get my way. In fact, he got many public sector companies. He bought it for peanuts just because he had clout with the government. Anyway, I'm not here to criticize him or the government or anybody. So if anybody thinks that way, today or tomorrow they are going to face this problem. Now even Mr. Agarwal cannot do anything. This Tamil Nadu plant is shut down and he is trying all his means, putting all his means at stake, and the plant is shut down. It's not restarted. So unless you have this holistic view, Haldia Petrochemical, when the designer designed it, they just took it for granted that, you know, it is by the side of the sea, so disposal will be no problem. So they did not put the drainage system in the design. Then they constructed everything. Before starting the plant, they need environmental clearance. They came here, they found there is not sufficient drainage system. They said you cannot start this plant unless you have a proper drainage system. Now there was something like 25,000 crore rupees of investment, something like 30 years back. That means it's almost like 1 lakh crore rupees today. After investing this 1 lakh crore rupees, the plant remains shut down for more than 2 years for them to be able to put the drainage system appropriately, because all constructions were done. It has to be dismantled to accommodate drainage. So they put underground drainage under the building, etc., etc. That is systems thinking. They lacked systems thinking. They thought we'll get our way. There are many examples. We'll talk about it later. An eye for opportunities in adversities. Now there are many more, but all blue color items are very important, like honesty, like integrity, unquestionable honesty, integrity. I have been giving so many examples just to drive home the point. Many of us, naturally think that, I can get away with doing anything. And when we'll be doing something, we'll think that if we become too honest, then it is going to cost me so much. So let us, make a shortcut. This is not going to help. You should always think that let us not make a shortcut. This will give you some immediate benefit, but without your knowledge, you will become more dishonest without your knowledge. And if you do some shortcut, and if your employees come to know about it, they will do more shortcut and they will cheat you. Like suppose I do shortcut and my son looks at me and realizes that my dad is doing this shortcut. Someday he will do a shortcut on me itself. Someday he will say, I cannot, take your burden anymore. Just find some way and go somewhere. We always question that how can some children can drive away their parents like that? And many a times, not always, many a times you will find that their parents actually taught them unethical things, dishonesty. So we reap the benefit or the pain that we actually saw the seeds for. They communicate effectively. Effective communication doesn't mean fluent communication. Effective communication means how much you can communicate with how little and how much your listener can get out of it. Suppose I speak one sentence and all my students understand it correctly. That is effective communication. Suppose I try to communicate through many sentences, this, that, etc., etc., blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, you remain kind of confused as to what he wanted to say. You ask others, could you understand what he wants? But nobody understands. That is ineffective communication. Whatever jargon, whatever many jargons I used, whatever fluently I speak, doesn't matter. It matters if you can effectively tell people what you want them to do. Otherwise, they will do the other things, reverse things, opposite things. And you will blame them. I told you to do this. You have done this. They will have nothing to say. They will rather conflict. They will say, no, sir, you actually wanted us to do that. Something like that. Whether you win in this conflict, meaning in this verbal communication, it doesn't matter because the damage is already done. They inspire others while taking responsibility and giving credit for good performance. Suppose something happens, some good thing happens, and you know that you are the person responsible, but still you can say that, good job done, my dear Tim, you have done a wonderful job. Let us celebrate. And at some time somebody makes a mistake, you can always censure little bit, but say that, I feel that even I had some responsibility to guide you properly. Perhaps I also failed, but then look at this. Don't repeat this. I don't want, because, everybody else will point a finger on you. So for your own benefit, don't repeat this. Something like that. But then don't criticize too much. Give a pat on the back, even for failure, even for success. A pat goes a long way. Somebody does a good work, give a pat and say, good job. He will try to do 10 times better next time, and he will always wait for another pat. But then don't pat too frequently. Then every time he will expect a pat, and then if you don't do, he will get demoralized too quickly. Okay, so value your pat. At the same time, give it. Don't be too liberalized. They set their mission, work passionately, and are committed to achieve their goals. So I'll move slightly faster. What was that last sentence? They don't give excuses. I have already explained that. They educate, delegate, empower. I explained you have to educate your employees and then delegate even before they learn everything. Empower them to take decisions. So they will inculcate a habit of making decisions. You have trust and confidence so that they know that you have confidence. If you have confidence, they will not fail. They will not try to fail you. They will know that you have bestowed confidence on them. They will try their best not to fail, because they will know that if I fail, that confidence will be broken, and they will never try to do that. They try to be creative and they try to foster creativity in others. Okay, charisma. You must have heard this word, charisma or charismatic. Some people say that, he is highly charismatic. Usually when there is classes in the classroom, I normally ask students as to whom do you think is the most charismatic? I'm asking you, but you don't have to reply it now because we have less time. I wish I can make this class interactive, but then making interactive on a one-line class will kill so much time. I won't be able to manage. And yes, says I am not able to manage time. I don't know. If you want to criticize me, you can send me message. If you want to send me message without me knowing, then you can use the Excel sheet I have shared. I have shared Excel sheet, and in the first slide I have given the link today also. Use the link and send me question on the Google Sheet so as to make the class interactive, meaning that I'll answer there. There is one tab which I used in the previous class. So you can see all those question answer that we made in the previous class, and you can populate the current tab so that whatever question you have, I can answer, other people also get to know. So this will add to some kind of interactivity. They are now if I ask you who is the most charismatic, normally people say Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Narendra Modi, then Rahul Gandhi, what not, Shashi Tharoor, etc., etc. Many names come. But then if I ask you what is charisma, then many people don't really respond, reflect. So let us know what actually charisma means. I'll be very, very quick. They are self-confident, you understand. If you're not confident, people will not follow you. If you are not confident, you prevaricate, or kind of indecisive, then people will not respect you. They'll not follow you. They'll think that you say this at some point of time, you say the other thing at different point of time. You are not stable. They are polite. Politeness does not cost you money. If you are polite, people respect you greatly. They're patient. They try to listen to others. They try to understand people. They try to understand before they just, gorge out something from their mouth, like vomiting or something, and people actually never listen them. Keep their words. If you promise, keep the promise. If you think that you may not be able to keep the promise, never make a promise. If you think that you can come back home at 5, tell your parents that I may come at 5:15, so that you always keep the time, but then try to come at 5, because in your mind you should keep that I will come at 5. Always have others' best interest in mind. Suppose you are selling something, say some investment or something. Now if you try to manipulate and hook some customers into your fold, they will gradually realize they will not be a lifetime customer. But suppose you tell them that, sir, you are as a person, even though I have better scheme where I get more margin, but that those will not be suitable for you. What will be suitable for you is not remunerative for me, but I am going to tell you this. They will have great respect for you. They will never desert you. They'll always come back to you. Be expert in your own field. If you're expert, your employees will follow. If you are not expert, they will tell lies, and they will get their way. Honest, ethical, above board. Not physically repulsive. See, God has given us something, whatever way we look. But then we should always remain tip top, meaning we always remain well dressed, well combed, we should not smell obnoxious smell or anything, so that whenever you are meeting somebody, he or she feels that, wow, this is a very perfect man or woman, something like that. Never go somewhere, in chappal, in some dress that doesn't look professional, even in startup at parlance. Don't think that I'm a creative person, that is why I can wear anything and everything. There is a saying that whatever you wear, you don't wear it for yourself, you wear it for your audience. Suppose you are giving a presentation, if you come suited booted, that shows that you are giving importance to your audience. Remember this. Yesterday we had a meeting with the director, so I went in my suit. Nobody else came in the suit, so I was feeling out of place. But deep down my heart, I know that the director was thinking that this particular guy attaches so much importance to me. That is why he came so formally dressed. Other people are laughing. So remember this. In an interview, 50% is your dress, 50% is your presentation, meaning how you present yourself. 50% is content that you say. They seem real. They're not humbug, meaning they don't project something that they're actually not. Some people will say, even at IIT, I have seen professors telling that I was a classmate of, who is this guy? This Google guy, Sundar Pichai. I was a classmate, batchmate. So he used to stay there. I used to stay here. We used to chit chat, blah, blah, blah. Maybe some of them are actually not. So this actually doesn't sell. You can sell it for once, sell it for twice. You cannot fool people many times. The moment they will realize that you bluffed, you will never ever gain any respect from them. You will not be even able to salvage whatever you lose. Listen twice as much they talk. This is very important. Never ever forget this. Wherever you are, there are huge fight. People are, cursing you left and right. Just listen. I could give an example, but today I don't have time. I will not give a real life example. I'll just tell you. Otherwise, I'll not be able to sleep. See, there was a meeting when I was in SRIC and Professor PPC was in SRIC. There was a meeting with DRDO people. They came with the intention that we'll fight with IIT. And there are a bunch of IIT professors who have submitted projects on nano material. And DRDO wanted not to give. IIT professors wanted to get it by hook or crook. Then there was a huge fight. Our director, Professor Dubey, was chairing the meeting. Then both parties were shouting. Professor Dubey threatened several times to leave the meeting if they don't stop. But who will stop? Then Professor PPC was showing hand to Professor Dubey. Wait. Let them talk, whatever they want. Then at some point of time, Professor PPC just said, okay, everybody stop. Because this man was sitting idle, sitting and listening. Then he said, okay. So everybody stopped. Then he started cursing the professors. He said, you should have some common sense. They're our guests. Why are you behaving like that? Number one. Then he said, they have points and we should look into the positive points that they're bringing on the table. And then indirectly, they actually were taking sides with the faculty members without really projecting as if they're talking about. They said, you have a good point, right? But then you are not able to communicate those good points to DRDO people. And I don't blame them for being so, loud and all that. Even I would be as loud as them. So this is not the way to present. What I would like you to do is that you modify your project like this, whatever they are saying. And then they will listen. They are reasonable people and they are our bosses. They have come here as guests. And then the DRDO team became silent. And the IIT team also left and they came back in the evening with a modified proposal. It was done. Whereas by fighting, you can never do anything. So you have to know both parties' point of view. Then you have to find a middle path. You can take sides, but without the knowledge of the sides that you are actually taking these sides. That is the quality of leadership. They are very helpful. They're always helpful. People skill is very important. They communicate effectively. They get people invested in their ideas. They will say that, I'm thinking like this. Like suppose you want your younger siblings to develop personality, develop decision skill and remain, besotted with you. And one fine morning, you tell your small brother who may be in class 3 or 5, ask him that, you know what? I want to buy a new cell phone. I know that you are the right person to give me advice. I am not, I'm an old guy. I don't have much idea about cell phone, but I think you can give me a perfect advice. I'm looking for this kind of a RAM and this kind of hard disk and screen should be like this and blah, blah. You give all the tips without his knowledge, all the tips. He get all the information. But the moment you say that you can advise me, he will be so much elated that he will feel that like, luckiest person and this is the best day of his life. He will come back with a model. You can even indirectly hint that I think this is a model that should be good. So-and-so friend told me that this may be good or something. You give hint as to what he should come back. So he will come back with the model that actually is there in your mind. At the end, you say, wow, your decision is the perfect one. I'm so lucky to have a brother like you. He will remain so much loyal to you. You cannot imagine. And his future decision-making qualities will be much better. He'll be a responsible person. So this happens with your employees also. But then, of course, not exactly the same way. But you should always tell them that, make decisions and in a meeting, you try to take cues from different people and then give credit, but eventually you will have your own way. But then give credit that, okay, from the feedback that I get from so and so is a wonderful thing. So I think that taking a holistic view, I think we should do this. So everybody gets credit, but you have your own way. Success of a business rests on many pillars. People are the most important pillars. So don't neglect the people. Elements of people skill: leadership, people skill, leadership, people skill. Both subsumes the other. Persuasion, capacity to pursue, influence, then network building. Without networking, it's very difficult to sustain, because in today's world, all knowledge driven. Suppose you are whatever, say Android app, or say you are building a database. Suppose database, Oracle. Now you have some, say, bugs in the database. You cannot get rid of it. It may take a month or two to get rid of it. Suppose you telephone a friend that, I have this problem, either telephone or over a cup of beer maybe. And then he says, what? We also had this problem. Then we talked to Oracle, and then some guy, luckily he told us this, and got it solved. You come back and do the same thing and you get it solved. You save months and money and what not. Time is money. And then you invite that guy over a party, spend 5,000 rupees, who cares? You got so much benefit. That benefit actually is lakhs of rupees. So network, build relationship this way. Appreciate that man or girl, whosoever that is, that for you, I could solve this problem so quickly. Don't be conservative on that. If I tell her this, then she will think that she contributed so much to a success, blah, blah. Appreciate, invite for a cup of tea at least. Ability to excite people by vision. We'll talk about vision in the next class. Strong ethical governance, abide by laws, all are repeated, but goal-oriented, comfortable with uncertainty, self-challenging, meaning they give better, higher target and then take the challenge. If they think that they can achieve a growth of 10%, they will put a challenge target of 15%. Don't like working for others. They prefer being their boss, rarely satisfied or complacent that I have achieved everything. Not like that. Driven to plan. They make a plan and then they try to achieve that plan. Experimental mindset. They don't want to get things done by others or a proven solution. They try to do experiment. Even if their technology is working fine, but still they will do experiment with something else, meaning to improve the performance or cost or anything. Perseverance. They keep on trying. They never say no. They never quit. Tendency to continuously look for a better or different way to do things. Ability to close a deal. In sales, if you are too absolutely uncompromising, you will never be able to close a deal. You have to have compromise somewhere. You have to draw the line, but then above the line there should be a lot of allowances. That okay, this is my line, but I will start here. I should be okay within this band. Should not be a line. Don't draw a fixed line. Draw a band that within this band anything is okay. Inclination to listen, trust, take advice. I have already discussed all of them. This is just repetition. They strive to feel the pain that aim to solve, like empathize, engage with customer, try to empathize, match their expectation. What features would romance them? The word romance I got from Indra Nui. She was one of the 25 global CEO of Fortune 500 companies. Only 25 CEOs were women out of 500. And she's one of them. She was the CEO of Pepsi. And she said, whenever we design a product, we want that customers should feel romantic about that product. Whenever they hold that box of whatever or the bottle of drink, they should feel romantic about it. So product, it should be like that. They believe that customers are always right. Very, very important. Most important. That customers are always right. If they say that your product is nonsense, I want this, listen to that, try as much as you can meet. Just a second, I'll take the attendance first. Otherwise, its time is up already. So I'll not continue at all. I'll just take the attendance. That's it. Just a second, let me ensure that I have got this downloaded. Yeah, I got the attendance. So thank you very much. If you have a question, I'm not able to give much of time. So I'm very sorry about that. You should try to use that Excel sheet. I have given that link in today's presentation also. I'll upload the presentation today and whatever, even though I have not able to complete even half of it, that should be fine. So number one, number two, I have to stop recording, otherwise it will continue to record.